Hola. What happened when I left my career and left my job and left the place that I was living in, the country that I was living in, and why that's so pivotal and important? I don't think I would have started this YouTube channel doing a so-called 9 to 5 job. And actually, there are probably a myriad of benefits for me not having taken a career break that's now probably, it's unclear whether I will return to doing what I was doing and living where I was living. And I would say one is that doing a 9 to 5 regular career job actually stole my time. I didn't have a lot of time. I had money, but I didn't actually have a lot of time. And now I experience a level of freedom and spaciousness within me. I don't know if I can quite, show you or give the words to like how amazing it is to have time. And little things like, I never realized how, when I was working and working very hard in a job that was noble, actually my concept of time was very skewed. Everything related to work, and I didn't realize that everything related to work. For example, even though I was working Monday to Friday, actually my Sunday afternoons were consumed with this dread of going to work. And also probably from Thursday night as well, I wouldn't be out and about in the streets. And it kind of curtailed my activities, and it impacted my social activities too, because like there were certain days and times when I just didn't feel like I could be out enjoying myself. And even if I did do that, I would have this impending thoughts about, actually I need to conserve my energy for work, even though I'm not being paid for this time. And number two, I realized that I'm actually not a morning person. So there's no point in me getting to work at 9 o'clock, because it's like, it's, taking, all the into consideration, all the things you do in the morning, like the getting up, the hygiene, the makeup, the hair, the clothing, the ironing, the washing, all of it took up so much time, and actually was a source of anxiety and stress for me. I didn't know what I was going to be facing once I was at work. Obviously, I worked with vulnerable children and their families, and so anything can happen, and you're always worried about the decisions that you make for children's lives, because it can totally change the trajectory of their lives and the lives of their families. And so there was also a lot of anxiety creeping into my dreams and into my sleeping time. And so that was time that I wasn't being paid for, but I was worried, about decisions that were made by courts, by managers, by myself. And so that's another thing that I think I now experience a lot of freedom around. And number three, which was a curious one, I think it drained my creativity. I consider myself to actually have an artistic bent. I'm quite artistic. I'm a creative at heart. That's essentially who I am. And I thought that, becoming a social worker, that I would, eventually I would have time to, do painting, do sculpture, be around creative people, but that actually never happened. One, because I didn't have energy. I didn't have the energy. All my energy went into work, and that's a decision that I made, or that's what happened, and I didn't make a decision contrary to that. And so, yeah, it robbed me of my creativity. And I think our ability to think and our ability to even just think critically and think creatively, I think I allowed the job to rob me. And I think that's sometimes what it does to us. Also, another thing was really around boundaries. When you do a job where you're working with vulnerable people, or your job is seen as really important, then it's easy to slide into creating these gaps in your boundaries, where you're allowing the work to take over the time that like really is yours. And whether that's mentally, and whether that's physically, whether that's emotionally, or whether that's spiritually, it's the space that it takes up. But I looking back now, I think that I didn't have a lot of boundaries, or there were gaps in my boundaries. And actually, in retrospect now, when I look at my life, not just in terms of work, but in other areas, I noticed that there were also gaps in my boundaries too. And so being able to step back and take time, I mean, it's the greatest gift that I've given myself, because I've been able to plug the gaps in my boundaries. I've been able to repurpose and rethink about my concept of time, and it's just enriched my life, really. But it comes with risks. Not everything, is unicorns and butterflies. It comes with really having to face some of your fears around money, having to face fears around, well, what if it doesn't work? What if, making these big changes doesn't work? And what if you don't find a place to belong? And for me, that was my number 5, was about community, and how important that has become. Here in Mexico City, where I live, I've been able to find ways to create community, and that's been really important. Like, I love walking, so I created a walking group. I love talking and having conversations, so I've created community dinners where people come together who ordinarily would not have met each other. And I think that because of time, and because of not having that space to be creative and feel expansive, I don't think I wouldn't have necessarily developed these things. And it's the best thing I have ever done. I'm a slow traveler, and I've also created a business as an emotional well-being coach. And that is about being able to utilize the information that I know about emotional literacy and emotional well-being to help others, but also to fund my lifestyle. Look, I'm not, this is not Mary Poppins. I'm not like, this also is about being able to see your value in the world. And as a Black woman, like, it's been so inspiring. Sorry, we just had a little bit of an earthquake tremor here. There are things moving around here in Mexico City, but I think it's now passed. These are the 5 things that I've discovered having left conventional work. It's the best thing. It's the best gift I could ever give myself. And it's the best gift that I could envisage that anybody could give themselves. If you're on the verge, if you're thinking about it, if it's something that resonates with you, let me know in the comments. Have you ever just got up and just, with a plan, but moved to a different country, decided to change careers, decided to approach your life and your relationships differently? Let me know in the comments. Yeah, so that's me. Hasta luego. Oh, like, follow, and make a comment. Hasta luego.